Welcome back to Opportunistic Bets with Sam Ellison. I'm your host, Sam Ellison. You can follow me at Twitter at Mendy_Island. Last week was not a great week. 2 for 8, one spread, one over under. That spread coming in the first game, the over under coming in the last game. It took Cincy to cover. They win. It was all underdogs, and it looked like the Bills were going to complete the underdog sweep until about 13 seconds left, and Patrick Mahomes and company decided to have other options. They tied, they go to overtime, and then we know what happens there. Mahomes to Kelce after the coin toss, ball game. So we've got two games. We're in the AFC and NFC championships, and I can't believe how this season is just moving along. It's the longest season of football, but it feels like it just never ends, which is a great thing if you're like me, who likes betting on football, and I've got a lot of things I want to get into. So usually we go over-unders and spreads, and we're going to get to that. But we've got some other player prop bets for this week. We got some scores that I want to even touch on, because I've seen them on all the apps and TikTok and Instagram about people putting the correct score. And I'm going to try and pick the correct scores in both the AFC and NFC championship game. But let's get going. It is the first game of the week. And I'm surprised it actually is the first game of the week. It's the AFC championship game, and it's the Chiefs and the Bengals. Now, one team you'd definitely have expected to be here in the Kansas City Chiefs, even though they struggled early and then they got their groove on. The other team in the Bengals, no one saw coming, but I am such a huge Joe Burrow fan. Joey B, thinking of getting that black with the orange, and they had their way with Vegas in the first round. Not really had their way, but really controlled the game. And the second game, I mean, they really contained Derrick Henry. That third and fourth and one stop early in the third quarter was huge. Oh, sorry, in mid fourth quarter, I should say. And then you had, obviously, the interception from Tano to start the game, to start the second half, and to end the game. And their defense is playing really well. And then you obviously know you throw the ball down there somewhere, Ja'Marr Chase is going to get it. So you got a rematch of a few weeks ago, which took place in the jungle. The Bengals won that game, clinched the division at that point, and the Chiefs, that was their only blemish in the last, 3 months. And into the playoffs they go. Mahomes, Kelce, Hill, Andy Reid, and company have been lighting it up. I mean, they dominated Pittsburgh after going down 7-0 after a TJ Watt fumble touchdown. And then they went back and forth with the Bills in probably the greatest game I've ever seen. Let me repeat that. It's the greatest game I've ever seen, and we only got to see Patrick Mahomes touch the ball in overtime. Come on, NFL, it's time to change the rules. So, the spread opens up, Kansas City minus 6.5 at Arrowhead for a 3:30 start. Well, Jim, as Tony Romo would say, who are you taking? I'm taking the Chiefs. The Chiefs minus 6.5, and here's why. They've been here before. The Bengals did not look as good as I thought they would against Tennessee. It was a very low-scoring game. Joe Burrow got sacked 9 times. That is correct. 9 times sacked by Joey B. That Titans defense is not something to write home about. I'm not saying that the Chiefs is better or worse, but I do like, Tyrann Mathieu. He's questionable. He obviously got hurt with a concussion. I saw what Josh Allen was able to do. Ja'Marr Chase, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, those guys, they're going to have their way. But I think that Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes know that they can't just score touchdowns after a 4-play drive. They're going to have to run the clock. They're going to have to make smart plays. And you saw what Mahomes was doing. He's able to really facilitate the ball down the field. And I think that, we saw the speed of Tyreek Hill. You saw Pringle get in the end zone again 2 weeks in a row. You saw Kelce just absolutely being a force with over 100 yards. Probably does it again. That might be a foreshadow for something on later on. But I just think the Chiefs in this position at home, they've been there before. They're heading to the third Super Bowl if they win this. I think they get it done. I think it's a great game, but I like the Bengals in this one. So, Sam, you're taking two high-scoring offenses, the Bengals, the Chiefs. The over is high, but where are you going? Are you taking the over? Are you taking the under? Let's not kid ourselves. Let's not overthink it. I'm locking in the over. I'm taking 53.5. Look, I said it, and it was my only over that I got correctly. Both the Bills and both the Chiefs were going to put up 30 points. I think that could happen again. I think it won't happen again. I think it's like a 34-27 game. We'll see what happens about that. But I think that these teams can put up points. I think they will put up points. I think that you saw in the first half, it was 14-14 between the Bills and the Chiefs. That might be something similar, 17-10, 17-13. And McPherson's been great with his leg. Harrison Butker misses an extra point, misses a field goal. So I like McPherson a little bit more on the field goal side of things. But I think that both these teams are going to score. I think if Tyrann Mathieu's out, the Bengals are going to exploit that secondary. But talking about exploiting and just exploding, I'm going with the Chiefs, just putting up 30-plus points again. They've done it in 2 straight playoff games. I look for them to do it again, and I think that is a big reason why I am taking the over of 53.5 in this one. All right, so that's the AFC side of things, and we'll get to some player props, and we'll get to some scores later. But let's go to the NFC game. The 6:30 game, the Troy Aikman, Joe Buck matchup between Matthew Stafford, Jimmy Garoppolo, part 3. Now, when we saw this in Week 18, we thought this was a great matchup. The 49ers need to win. The Rams trying to move up and not be in like the 4th seed, which they fell to once they lost. Didn't seem to be a problem as they knocked off Arizona handedly. They looked like they were just going to knock off Tom Brady and send him off to retirement. Now, we don't know if Tom Brady's going to go to retirement, but it looked like they were going to go 27-3, and the Rams found ways to almost lose that game. I mean, Cam Akers fumbled before half. Okay, that was a really weird play. That guy put his hand up. But then he fumbled again. Cooper Kupp fumbles. He never fumbles. Then there's the bad snap when they're in the red zone, and it goes 30 yards the other way. And you know Tom Brady with 28-3, 27-3, he'll find a way to come back, and he did. He throws that Mike Evans deep pass touchdown, and with 40-some-odd seconds left, you're thinking, oh my God, Brady's going to do it again. But Matthew Stafford coming up big in the biggest game of his career. A playoff-defining, legacy career-making drive. 2 great throws to Cooper Kupp. Puts them in field goal range. Matt Gay hits the game-winning field goal. They win 30-27. Now, what did the 49ers do on Saturday night? I don't even know how to comprehend what I saw. First drive of the game, Packers go down. They score a touchdown easily. I'm thinking, I love the Packers in this game. I love the over in this game. It's going to be snowy. It's going to run the ball. I'm going to pass it. It's going to be played. Then there was nothing. A couple field goals by Robbie Gould, and then it was, a blocked field goal from Mason Crosby at the end of half, which turned out being huge. And they had no points. And it was, game was pretty much 10-3 for the whole game. And then a block punt, in the end zone, which, talk about field position, if that's blocked, maybe, if they're in zone, maybe they don't run it all the way. I mean, again, no one really found the ball, but block punt in the end zone, no one looks for it, guy picks it up, touchdown, 10-10, and then Robbie Gould with the game-winning field goal. They pull off the upset. It was a massive upset. I personally had the Packers to win, so I'm clearly wrong, but who do I like in this one? Jimmy G against Aaron Donald, part 3. Now, the 49ers have won both the matchups. Do I think things come in 3? Sure. Do I think they're going to come in 3 this time? No, sirree, Bob. I'm taking Matt Stafford. I love what this offense is doing. Yes, Sean McVay would have been absolutely scrutinized and criticized for what had happened, being up 27-3 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are without Antonio Brown, without Chris Godwin, but they didn't lose. At the end of the day, all you need to do, as Al Davis once said, win, baby, win. And the Rams found a way to win. Now they're playing at home. Okay, this is the first time a team has the NFC Championship game or AFC Championship game and then the Super Bowl in the same location. If they win, they'll play back-to-back home games. And I know I was watching Rich Eisen, and he was going, there's people who are, in the Super Bowl, not facility, but Super Bowl, setup crew, who are not happy, because usually they have 2 weeks. The game's in Minnesota. Well, Minnesota's out of the playoffs, so not a problem. So, let's just set up the Super Bowl, get everything going. They have to literally wait till Sunday's game is over, and then they have to start Monday morning early to get things going for the next Super Bowl. And so I like Aaron Donald. Von Miller looks super healthy. Jalen Ramsey, Eric Weddle came up. I know he got a weird penalty where I thought it was going to be a turnover. It was going to be a 15-yard penalty, an automatic first down. It was a turnover because it was 4th down. But I'm going with Cooper Kupp. I'm going with the Rams. Look, they've seen enough on tape. They know this team very well. It's going to be a tight game. That 2.5 points for a reason. I like the Rams. I'm taking them by a field goal. I think it's going to come right down to the wire. And if Matt Stafford, in his first year, gets to the Super Bowl, I mean, last year we saw the Buccaneers sign Tom Brady. It was the best free agent signing. Matt Stafford takes them to the Super Bowl and then wins it, let alone just takes it. I think it could be the greatest trade in NFL history. They gave up a lot. They weren't going to win with Jared Goff, even though he got them to a Super Bowl. They lose 10-3 in that Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford has a chance right here to do something special. That defense looks good. They got that four for the 49ers. They got that four defensive linemen, Bosa, Armstrong, and Fred Warner and the linebacking crew. They're gonna get things done, but I think Cooper Kupp has a day. I think Odell's really stepped up. Cam Akers looks really good. They didn't even give the ball to Sony Michel at all last game. It looked like, Tyler Higbee's making plays. This is a very exciting game. I got to go with the best player. Even though I love Deebo Samuel and what he did this year, I'm going with Aaron Donald and the Rams -2.5. So you're going Sam. You're talking about Aaron Donald. You're talking about Von Miller and Nick Bosa and Jalen Ramsey. You're taking the under, right? No. I'm not taking the under. I'm taking the over 45.5. Look, this last game that they played in week 18, it was 24-24 going into overtime, and then 27-24 was the final. That's 51 points, folks. I may not be good at math, but I know that is over 45.5. I think it's going to be a tight game for most of it, but then you're going to start seeing some big plays come through. Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, Kittle, Higbee. There's going to be scoring. I think these two teams are very talented on both sides of the ball. 45.5 doesn't seem like a lot of points. If it was 40.5, I think the Vegas betting odds would be like, that's absolutely ridiculous. We're not doing that. But 45.5 points, I really like the over in this one. Now, I only got one over last week. There's only 2 games this week, but I'm going both the overs. I want to see both great games. Look, this was the most wild and insane weekend of sports in football history that I've ever seen. I know I said sports. I meant football history. Do I think that this weekend could top it? Probably not, because last week was 4 games, so there's 2 games. But I think we got 2 incredible games on our hands. You got Burrow versus Mahomes. You got Garoppolo versus Stafford. Give me Stafford. Give me Mahomes. Let's see what happens. I'm super excited, and I'll tell you my other interesting picks after this quick break.
12-Ounce Sports has a new home for betting. BetUS.com is the official place to place your bets and support 12-Ounce Sports. All you have to do is go to BetUS.com and type in the promo code 120Z and you'll instantly get a deposit bonus. This is America's favorite sportsbook. And remember, always gamble responsibly.
Welcome back. So, we've talked about the games. We talked about the overs. I've taken the Chiefs -6.5. I've taken the over. I've taken the Rams -2.5. I've taken the over. So you're going, Sam, what else are you going to talk about? What else can I be opportunistic about? So I got some bets for you. I've been cranking these out. Now, these are just single bets. These are not parlays. Nor would I ever say do a parlay with any of the bets I do, just single bets. But I like to parlay some of those games with the over-unders, and I'm definitely going to be doing that this week, just being honest. So, there's some interesting bets. Now, I'm going to go with a pretty obvious one, but I'm going to put it up there because I'm being opportunistic. Most passing yards. Patty Mahomes +180. Now, there were some good options with Burrow, with Stafford perhaps. I just think you got to go Mahomes. Look, +180. You put $100, you win an extra 180 on that. That is a very good deal. I would take an extra 180. Who wouldn't right now? I like to think that, most people put probably $20 or $50, so maybe you double up. But 100 to make another 180, that is a good bet, and I'm definitely riding Mahomes on that one. Look, Kelsey, Hill, both over 100 this week. And honestly, I think Joe Burrow's going to get sacked a lot, so I think he's going to put up a lot of yards. But I'm going to go with Mahomes. I don't think that they run the ball very well. Last week, I thought Jared McKinnon was more useful in that passing game as a screen player or just out of the backfield than he is as a rusher. And they're looking to not go with, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's still nursing a little bit of an injury. Darrell Williams, banged up, probably not playing. So Mahomes plus 180. I mean, you just look at the weapons what he has with Kelsey and with Pringle and with Hill. And you know what? The last few weeks, and I'm just going to pull this up right now. I just want to kind of dive into it almost. I looked at Mahomes last week. Okay, now Allen had a great game, right? We all know Josh Allen 329, Patty Mahomes 378. Okay, that is 378 in one week and then 404 in the other. I would go right now, put $100 on this because it is an absolute lock in my opinion. I love Patrick Mahomes in this situation. Most yards. I think a Bengals defense that is not as good as most people think, but has been solid. I think, they've got Trey Hendrickson on the defensive end. He's going to be obviously their key to kind of slow down Patrick Mahomes. Problem is, I don't think anyone could slow down Patrick Mahomes right now. That offense is cooking. They're going to be at home. They're playing in early afternoon, so I don't think the weather is going to be a factor. So I'm going with that one. Here's a couple other ones that may or may not be the most common ones. They weren't the favorites, but I want to be opportunistic. I want to put some money down on the most rushing yards. And I'm going to go with, Cam Akers, you're thinking, Joe Mixon. No, I'm going Deebo Samuel, plus 1,200. Look, at the end of the day, the 49ers run the ball through Deebo Samuel. Last week, only 39 yards. He was a little banged up. They had to kind of figure out other ways to get him the ball. 3 receptions for 44 yards. Eli Mitchell's led the team with 53 rushing yards. He's probably a better option. And the week before that, he led the team with 96 yards, but Deebo Samuel had 72 yards. So Deebo Samuel had over 100 yards in 2 playoff games rushing the ball, folks. Rushing the ball. I think that they're going to have to be intricate. I think that you can game plan for Eli Mitchell to go, hey, we're going to stop the run game and, we're going to find ways to, really force Jimmy Garoppolo to make a play and sure. But when you got Deebo Samuel coming in with so much speed and so much muscle, 215, 220, running right at you, he's going to find holes. There's a reason why on 3rd and 7 with the game on the line, Kyle Shanahan calls a timeout and says, you know what? I don't know what anyone else is thinking. All I know is I need to get the ball into Deebo Samuel's hands. And one thing you can't knock Kyle Shanahan on is he gets the ball in his playmaker's hands. And boy, oh boy, is Deebo Samuel a playmaker. Incredible receiver. But in what we saw this year with him in the rushing game, it just adds another element. I think plus 1,200 is not a lock, but I think it's a very interesting bet. And if you want to just ride some crazy bet, I think you could say, hey, I could make an argument that Joe Mixon not going to really get a lot of rushing yards because they're going to be playing from behind. Joe Burrow's going to have to throw it. You look at Cam Akers and go, that 49ers, they really have a great front 7. He's not going to be able to run the ball as well. And then you're kind of thinking, okay, well, do I want to take a guy from Kansas City? Probably not. So that leaves a guy in San Fran. And I don't think that they give up a lot of rushing yards. But I do think Deebo Samuel is a game changer. I don't think I've seen anything like him. Someone said, Chris Carter said, he's a mix between Percy Harvin and I think it was like Sean Alexander. It was like some crazy like hybrid player where the guy's so fast and so elusive. So I'm taking Deebo Samuel plus 1,200. And then, tap it all off. I got most passing. I got Mahomes. I got most rushing. I got Deebo Samuel. So if I'm taking most passing, I got to take someone on Kansas City, right? And I'm not taking Tyreek Hill. I am taking Travis Kelce. Look, plus 700, good odds, and I like him in this spot. At the end of the day, he's his favorite weapon. Tyreek Hill is going to be blanketed. He's going to have weapons. I don't think Travis Kelce is coverable. Last week, only 8 for 96. Hill with 11 for 150. But if you take out, again, they did go to overtime, but he made a 64-yard catch, okay? So he was still around that 90-yard mark. But at the end of the day, so he was at 86 before that touchdown. At the end of the day, I think Kelce is going to be more targeted. I think Hill, the only way the Bengals win this game if they stop one of the two. So if I'm the Bengals defensive corner. I'm thinking I just can't get them to blow by us. So I'm gonna play two deep safeties. I'm gonna play a lot of cover 2, a lot of cover 3. And so that leaves the middle of the field open for a guy like Kelce to go right down the seam on cover 2 or cover 3 just to make a little out and then maybe zig back in one of those routes. Mahomes, great at buying time. I think if you're going to put money on Mahomes, you got to go with the receiver. And I think that this is ultimately going to be a Travis Kelce day. And, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think you're either going one or the other. I think the odds for Hill were plus 350 if I remember correctly. So I'm taking the little bit of a higher odds on Kelce with the chance that he has the better day. Hill goes for 4 for 86. Kelce goes, 9 for 120. Something like that. Like, they're both going to put up big numbers, but I'm going to go with Kelce because he's got better odds than Hill. Okay, so that's my most passing, most rushing, most receiving in the conference championships. Now, here's where I'm going to get a little crazy with here. Come in. Get a little bit closer. Let's break this down. I've seen some of these hit in the playoffs, and it is absolutely bonkers if you can actually get this done. Now, I had to put a lot of thinking in. I had to go, Sam, what will make the most sense? How do you pick the final score of a game? Could have anyone picked the final score of the Kansas City Buffalo game? Probably not. But you could probably say 30-27 Rams is something that is a reasonable score. It's not a score gummy. It's not something crazy that's never happened before. 30-27 seems like a reasonable. Both teams putting up a lot of points. 13-10 in the San Fran Green game? Probably not. But another game where you're like, hey, the snow's going to be a factor. Maybe they each get a touchdown and 2 field goals, which is what San Fran did. Touchdown, 2 field goals. The Cincinnati-Tennessee one, a little bit more crazier in terms of the score. 19-16, that's a lot of field goals. So you have to kind of be like a guy from the future to figure that out. So I'm thinking here, what makes the most sense? Now, I'm not saying that it's going to happen because I'm not from the future. But I'm going to go and take a shot at the dart. Sometimes you're playing darts and you're looking around and you're just throw a dart at the wall. This is what I'm doing with these bets. Very opportunistic? I don't know. You be the judge. Let's go with the first game. Kansas City Bengals. I think there's points. I've already talked about the over. Just to give you a quick reminder, the over on that one was 53.5. So, what am I going with this one in the score? I'm going 34-27. That is the score I am going with that, and that is a combined score of 61. So, it's over 53.5. It's a lot of points, which is super exciting as a fan. And I'm trying to figure it out. I'm going, okay, there's going to be a field goal at least by some team at one point, but they both can't put up a lot of field goals because they're going to be scoring so many touchdowns. So I'm thinking 7, 14, 21, 24, kind of thing. Maybe 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals. Like, they get those 2 field goals early and then they realize that they have to put up with Kansas City, put up to shut up, so to speak. So they score, on 4th down at one point. So they get them with 27. 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals. Okay, that makes sense. 27 points is a good amount of points. It's way above the league average, and I think that's kind of where I could see the Bengals putting up. I said that they both could put up 30. I said it, but, this is just my take. I want to be a little opportunistic. And again, if you see the score and you see the odds, it's plus 19,000. That is insane. I put $10 on that, or whatever. I put $10, and I'm looking at a $1,900. That is insane. That is incredible. So I go, okay. So if that's how they're going to score, what about the Chiefs? 7, 4, 21, 28. Okay, and then 2 field goals. That's 4 touchdowns and 2 field goals. That seems to me very doable to me. I think 34-27 is a very reasonable situation. I put money on that just like an hour ago. And I was like, here's $10. Shot in the dark. Close your eyes. Pin the tail on the donkey. Whatever you want to say. 34-27. They cover this. They cover the 6.5, which I said they would. The over hits, which I said they would. Mahomes throws for a lot of yards, which I said they would. No, I didn't say anything. It doesn't say anything about Kelce, but Kelce gets maybe 2 of those touchdowns. One like a 40-yard touchdown, like just untouched, down the sidelines. I don't know. 34-27 seems very reasonable. So I'm going with that one. Again, at 34.27. And look at those odds. Just circle them, folks. Just say, hey, shot in the dark, put $10. If you don't have $10 to put on that, fine. But I'm just saying, it could hit. It's reasonable. 3 touchdowns, 2 field goals for the Bengals. 4 touchdowns, 2 field goals for the Chiefs. Okay. I like that. I mean, they both need to put up points. If the Chiefs are up by a lot, the Bengals aren't just going to kick field goals. So if they get a field goal or 2 early, then you're like, okay, this is how they get to it. Or maybe they go for 2 and they don't get it, down the point. Anyways, they cover the spread. That's what I like. The other one, not so sold on, but I said, you know what, again, I'm going to take a shot at the dark. A 30-27. Familiar for the Rams? 30-27. Yes, it was a score last week, and I honestly had no idea how I was going to get to this point. And it's not going to end with this crazy Cooper Kupp drive where he gets 2 touchdowns there at the end. But I want the over so bad, and I really think that this one maybe is probably the worst bet that I said all night. And so I probably, won't put a lot of weight. If I had to put all my choices together, I'd probably say this one is the one I would least be excited about. The Mahomes passing yards? Absolutely. The over in both games? Okay, sure. 30-27, that's 57 points. Again, looking at that over-under, if I pull that up, it was 45.5. So maybe I got a little greedy and I said, okay, they're going to put up more than 45.5. They're going to put up 57. But I think, Robbie Gould, who the last few weeks, I mean, I don't know if you've seen these videos, but he kicks the ball while the other team is like doing, their home team is doing their entrance. They were on the road against Dallas, on the road against Green Bay, and before that, on the road against the Rams. So they've been on the road for the last month, right? Need to win all those games, clearly. And every time that the team is like, and now the starting lineups for your Green Bay Packers, Robbie Gould's just kicking. So, he doesn't miss kicks. He's missed 0 kicks in his entire career in the playoffs. Think about that. He's been around for a long time. He's a long-time Bear. He's been with the Niners. Has never missed a kick in the playoffs. And I don't think he's going to miss kicks today. 30-27. So, I honestly think that it's, again, you're going to have to find ways to score and manipulate points. But I think that it's one of those things where, I don't know. How do you get to 27 points? The obvious answer is that they get 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals. But I don't think that's going to be the way that this game plays. They get 2 touchdowns, that's 14. And then, 3 field goals, and then maybe a missed extra point and one of those, and I don't know. I honestly literally just put this together right before I came on, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this bet. I think it's exciting. At 34-27 Bengals Chiefs, that seems actually legit. Okay, I'm gonna definitely talk about this. 30-27. I'm not sure if I love it, but I'm gonna go with it anyways. I'm gonna stick by it. I think that it comes down at the end of the game. It's gonna come down to a field goal. And if the Rams have the ball last, they will have the most to gain. I think it's going to be one of those games where the team that has the ball last. Look, we saw 4 walk-offs in last week's game. Just to put that in perspective, I don't know if you're a big stat guy out there, but if you are, like myself, there's never been an entire playoff with 4 walk-offs, let alone a weekend. And this was definitely the best weekend. I don't know what we're going to get out of the conference championships. I hope you really enjoyed this show. Not sure, next week probably gonna have to talk about some basketball and talk about some hockey, but I definitely want to get all my football talk in for the championship. I hope you enjoyed that I broke down some scores. I hope you think that some of the player props are gonna hit, and at the end of the day, I'm just excited for more football. I mean, we've got 2 weeks left. I know in between you got the Pro Bowl, but you got this week 2 great championship games. It's the 49ers and the Rams part 3. It's the Bengals and the Chiefs part 2, and they both should be great games. And then you got the Super Bowl in a few weeks' time in LA. Dr. Dre, Eminem. I think it's going to be LA playing at home. Can the second home team in a row win a Super Bowl after years of never having the home team win the Super Bowl? The Buccaneers did it last year. Could the Rams do it again? Could the Chiefs be the ones who do it? They're plus 180. They're the favorite right now. Rams plus 200. Bengals plus 900, and I think San Fran was plus 450. So those are some other quick little bets. Those are some futures. With only a few weeks left, you better get those in quick. This is Opportunistic Bets with Sam Mellison. You can follow everything on Mendy_Island, or you can follow Opportunistic Bets on my TikTok. Have a great night.